Hi, welcome to the Pints and Polishing Podcast. I'm Marshall. That's Nick. And if you're somebody who likes high quality car care, go to hypercleanstore.com. Or if you like interacting with others who also enjoy that, hey, go visit us at our HyperClean Specialist group on Facebook. That will be a great place for you to go learn more about HyperClean products. Nick, as we've been out online more and more, especially as YouTube comes out further for us, it is a lot of fun as you and I have jokes about learning more about people, knowing people, meeting people. One of those people that messaged us and now it goes and gives us those DMs that are always kind of interesting. Well, one of them showed up the other day here at HQ. Huh.
Hey,
Shocking.
Tulsa's wild, dude. It's a wild crew.
Like, be ready, right? Like, if you're going to be out there, somebody's going to show up. Cool.
Yep.
Hey, let's have a discussion about that, man. Right. This was wild for me because to have somebody show up, I just start talking, just start being who he was. And listen, start talking to people the way that here and just running his mouth. It's sort of similar to the way it was in the DMs, right? Let's go ahead and lay that out for a second because not everybody understands what DMs are like. Not everybody understands, and it's not
Yeah.
hate.
Yeah,
So
it's
let's
not.
it's not hate. It's you almost want to say, is it ignorance? Seems harsh at the same time as hate, though, doesn't it?
What I think it is that uh, because when anybody, and you could talk to anybody, we know a bunch of big YouTubers. You and I know a bunch of people that are out there online. If you haven't experienced it, one of the things is it's humbling first because you can't believe all these people are contacting you, right? You're like, wow, a lot of people watching our stuff, or a lot of people have questions, and so there's a good part of it. The weird part of it is when people just sort of ask you for stuff. Can you send me stuff? Will you sponsor me? Will you do this? Will you do that? Can you do something for me? Can you do this? Can you do? And again, it's a small percentage, right? Most people are pretty genuine. Hey, man, like what you guys are doing. Can you answer a quick question about Trey? Can you answer a quick question about Uno? Can you answer a quick question about Revive? Whatever it is. So those things are not so wild, but the DMs can get wild in clumps, right? You can get like 3 or 4 crazy days where stuff starts happening, or guys just talking to himself in your DMs, which I know you and I have witnessed, where somebody's basically just having a long-term conversation with themselves. So it's wild to experience. I mean, obviously, this wasn't the world I was in just 3 short years ago. I think even for you, the last 3 years, it's been, pretty good learning experience, and that's the way that we take it.
Yeah, and it is, and it's let's go ahead and talk about this guy that shows up, and some things that we got to laugh out of, and some things we also go, okay, I've seen you before, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's something in this guy that we just go. He started talking to me, and I'm like, do I know you? Right? Like, you seem like the guy that Nick and I talk about quite a bit, not by name, just by as like a person.
Yeah.
So, this guy that gets into car care, likes to start cleaning cars, enjoys, goes and takes a job. Good for him. And goes starts at a dealership. Great place to get started if you like cleaning cars. It really is. Well, he finds himself in a little bit of a particular mess because he don't understand why anybody else around at this dealership, even the entire organization, including his managers who I had known, and we kind of had a joke about a couple of them. And it was like, nobody there did it like he did,
Oh yeah,
right?
I know
He
those
was
people.
the guy, right? You've heard it, you've met him, you've seen him. He did the best. And this was a part about management, which we can all find funny. Okay. They always overlooked him for the next raise or the next position. He was getting quote unquote, right? Right? Like crapped on.
Yeah.
Life sucks for him. My boss is this and my employee, everybody else. Nobody can do it like me. I, I mean, we pretty much should just kind of sit there and go, okay. I mean,
That
I
that's
didn't even really know what to say at that point, except just kind of go, yeah,
you could
I know
you could
you,
say that's
you know?
you could say that's the motto of the detailing world. No, the car show world, the professional detailer, the nobody does it like me, right? Which in our vast years of learning about ourselves and, now being in this huge network of people, you go, that's probably the biggest red flag that exists. Right? So here you are, the guy's standing in there, didn't really treat our staff with respect, didn't really come off as someone you'd want to have a beer with. So let's preface it with that. And then magically this stuff comes out of his mouth and you go, oh yeah, I have met you before. I have seen you online. I have done all of these things. And I'm not sure, how to say this politely, but if that's the way you speak, there's zero doubt that that is the biggest red flag that you could have towards another business owner like us, that nobody does it like you. Okay, man. Cool. I want you to have all the success in the world, but I also know the level of red flag that is.
Because we hear it from literally, I mean, if we could throw a percentage, is
Oh,
that even a
dude.
doable thing? Like, what percentage of people actually like? Is that 50? Is it that high, or do you think it's more?
Oh, whether they say it or not, I think. Look, it's something that people are. I sand and I use a rotary and I use this pad and I use. That's why I'm the best. And I don't. It's like that's why I said it really could be the motto of the car care world. Is like nobody does it like I do. Nobody knows the right things to use like I do. I mean, this goes from car show guy all the way to the professional, and quite frankly, it hurts everybody in between because I don't even know. Like I said, you guys have never heard me ever claim I'm the best detailer. I've never claimed that I can do things no one else can do. It's just a huge red flag because nobody that's had any success in life really believes that's how the world works, right? Like if you think Jeff Bezos was the best coder at Amazon, you're clueless. And do you think he cares while he's sitting on his yacht what anybody thinks about what he did or didn't do at Amazon? He just living life and he made something successful and he partnered with the right people. So the reason it's a red flag is that if you've ever done anything at all in life, you realize that the best people don't speak that way. They just
Well,
don't talk that way.
so next stop in his journey, I thought I was about to, once he started talking, I was about to give you a call and be like, Nick, we found your guy. Like, hey, this guy went and got a job at a detail shop.
There you
Like
go.
that was his next stop, right? He met a guy that his son owned a shop, and so he went to go work for him. Well, you think it got better? I mean, it should have, right? At that point, he's going to go work for a shop like you did. Hey, go work for a shop. Then it's going to be great. While you worked at that shop, were you the best? And did you tell everybody that you were the best and couldn't understand why people didn't do like you did? And boy,
No,
you guys take a long time. And wow, this is like, or what did you do? I mean, because
no.
this is what I think most people have a problem with. And when they go into work for a place, they really should be a good team member, right? They really should get a part of the culture and kind of do things the way that company does.
Yeah.
But he started talking about all this stuff that all these things that these guys were doing that he didn't do. And I couldn't believe that they ran stuff this way. And
Yep.
oh, yeah. And then this owner was never there. And, he was always at the lake on his boat. And I was half the time wasn't getting paid on time. Like I never really knew when I was going to get my money. Always paid me, but, and just starts going into all these problems that all these other
Yep.
people had and why it was a mess. And is that what you did too? Like, I
No,
mean,
I
because we
tell
tell
people
people
this
to go
all the
get a
time.
job at a
I
detail shop.
actually, the first job I ever had was working for a wholesaler. This guy ended up going to federal jail. Couldn't have treated me better. I mean, and you know why? When I look back, I just did what I was asked to do. I kind of take having a job or being a team member that for quite some time, it's kind of like the army. You do what you're told to do. Okay. I didn't care if what he told me to do was what I felt like needed to be done. I hadn't earned my right to give him my opinion. And that's why he took to me and a buddy of mine that started there together is whatever we were told to do, we did. I don't see having it. That's why I always say if you struggle having a job and you think being an owner is going to be easier, you really don't know anything about business because there's nothing easier than just being an employee and being, doing what you're told. Now, that doesn't mean I couldn't have disagreed with things or I wish we'd have done things. Sure, I had all that, but I just never talked about it. I just did what I was told. And then when I took a job with my next company, it was the same story. And the funny thing is, the more I shut my mouth and the more that I just kept getting trying to make my skills better, I just got higher and higher paying jobs to work on because everything I've ever done in my career in detailing, I did on piecework. I never had an hourly job. I always worked on piecework. And at the end of the day, I got a percentage for what I was doing. So, of course, I wanted to do it efficiently inside of their parameters of doing it. And by the time that I got to a reasonable skill level, I hardly ever talked to anybody. They'd be like, hey, we need you to get this car right. Okay, great. I'd go over there, however many hours it was, I'd show it to them. They'd quality check it. It would be on my pay. I mean, I didn't have, and look, that company, the last company I worked for had marital problems. It was a husband and wife. They had marital problems. They had problems inside their company. I never had an issue getting the money I think I was owed. I never had an issue getting paid on time. And again, I'll go back to it. One of the guys I work for did serious time in federal jail for messing with car titles. I never had a bad experience. Did other guys in that organization have a bad experience? You bet your ass they did. Me and my buddy, we didn't have a bad experience. I loved working with that guy. Like, I never had any of the other stuff. But also, I never thought I was running the organization. I never thought my opinion mattered. I just did what I was told. And maybe that was foolish on my part for some guys listening to this. Are like, well, I don't do that. Okay. Well, I made great money from the time I was 16 all the way to now in detailing. So that's the only way I know.
Is the rub, I guess, of a detailer, whether that's I work for somebody or I do it on my own, whatever, is the rub that because I can clean something really well and I can take something to transform it, that then I can just do me?
I
And I don't have to care about others. I mean, it's always been confusing to me. Or is it outside of? Let's just take it outside of detailing. Is it about somebody that just has a hard time working for other people? We just happen to have them.
I think a lot of people just have a hard time with work. I don't care whether they own a business or they're working for somebody. I think one of the biggest things about making real money in the economy for anybody, forget detailers. I mean, just all of us, you got to understand the economy. And when you work for somebody, this is why I always tell people there's 3 keys to working for somebody that'll make you $100,000 player tomorrow. Show up, shut up, and keep up. You do those 3 things, you're worth $100,000 in today's market. You don't believe me? There's all kinds of people that you think don't deserve to make that kind of money that are making tons of money. And what you can't figure out is they sit in a meeting, they take their notes. What do you need me to do? Yep, I'll do it. Yep, that'll get done. That'll get done. That'll get done. These guys are making $250,000 a year, and you're going, oh, he's an idiot. No, he's making a lot of money by showing up, shutting up, and keeping up. Like, I just think there's a whole host of people in the economy that don't understand that's how the world works, is that most companies and again, once you earn your stripes, then you start to give your input and it starts to get respected, but that's not earned overnight. And I think that's what people have a hard time with. In my experience, most of my guys in my company that have been here a very long time, Marty, they very rarely say anything cross. They'll say, hey man, what do you think about this? What do you think? Okay. Yeah. But most of the time they show up and they just do their job and they're really great people and they have a lot of fun and we joke around. It's not this serious. Very few professions are like life and death. And detailing is certainly not life and death.
It's not Andy Reid and Kelsey. It's not those
yeah.
moments.
And by the way, you can see how many people don't understand real life because what guys like us realize is, hey man, it's an emotional situation. It's the Super Bowl. Who cares? But you saw the outrage online. You know what I can guarantee everybody that was outraged? They've never actually done anything that they understand that kind of emotion and go, hey, dude, this is just 2 guys, in a brief moment of trying to win something, trying to get over the finish line, whatever. And so I think a lot of it to me is just about understanding how things work. And I think it's very tough for a lot of people in the economy to understand how it works.
Yeah, and because we also got to put our pride down.
Sure.
I mean, then that ultimately can be some of the most difficult things for us, whether we can let somebody tell us what to do, right? Like there are some people that struggle with that. You joked around about it a long time about, were you the guy in high school that was goofing off, or were you the guy that just took care of business and listened to the teacher and did what you were supposed to do? And it's pretty simple. But there's a lot of us and there's a lot of people that are in car care that were those other guys, like
Yeah,
they
but
might have been the
here's the funny thing. So let me ask you a question. I knew when to goof off. Like, this isn't saying don't go have fun, but you got to know when to goof off. Like, I wasn't goofing off with all the teachers around when I knew that all it would mean is I'd get suspended or, in detention and waste my own time. But I goofed off with my buddies all the time. But if you just went to class and did the work and handed it in right there in class instead of goofing off, you were going to do pretty well in high school. Like, there was no rocket science to high school. And I didn't love school. I wasn't like, man, school is so awesome. I wasn't a school guy, but I understood the game of it. I understood how to get through it and not, be able to go do all the things I want to do, play all the sports. I mean, think about the guys I don't think this is even a thing anymore. Think about how many guys that you knew were ineligible to play because they didn't do a homework assignment. Like, dude, I wanted to play. That's what I love doing. So I was just going to make sure that my shit was handed in so I could play. And it was that simple to me. And I had friends that wasn't that simple to them.
Yeah. Oh, I was one of them.
Yeah. Well, look, you work at hyperCLEAN with me. I know you aren't one of them. I don't have to be told.
So next stop for this guy, which, you could see from a young guy, you go, hey, this is a really good opportunity for a second. He goes and starts working with a YouTuber. Okay. Well, that's pretty unique. And it's somebody that we know. And this was the whole deal of now you got a kid who's young that now wants to be sponsored. You go, oh, that's one that we haven't heard in a while. There was a massive time when we're not joking, 17, 18, 19, 20, like those were massive years for somebody to get sponsored, for somebody to be a quote unquote influencer. A lot of the joke now we talk about detail groupie is because, all that stuff has really kind of gone away to where it's more of just like this idea that you could be an influencer, you could be something, right? So, we still have every once in a while they trickle in hey, come sponsor me. This is the best ones, or I'm starting and I'll do some videos, which is what this guy ended up saying. And you feel like I'm not an asshole. I'm not an unsensitive guy. I feel for him, right? Mid to young 20s, it seemed like, been in around 3 or 4 years into this industry, thinks that he goes from one place to the next and he's at this next opportunity for himself. Hey, this should be a great thing. Well, already still looking for free stuff. Now that okay, you talked about red flags a second ago. There comes another giant red flag is when people want something for free from somebody else.
Yeah.
Because if you will give me this free thing, I'm going to make a video for you.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of work for me. So that should be of a high value to you.
Yeah. I mean, look, at the end of the day, you got to show your worth to everything you do, right? What is your, if any of us went and worked for a company right now, we'd have pretty, low worth. We're not in the organization. We haven't grown with the organization. So somebody that's there 10 years, knows the systems, has more value than you and I, right? They put in their time. And so if you want to get into the culture of making videos, you're going to have to put in some legwork. That means you're going to have to buy some product. You're going to have to produce some videos, send those videos to those companies, show them that you're valuable, show them that you can provide something to them that they need. But that's not the way he spoke, right? It was like, hey, this YouTuber, but behind the scenes, what he doesn't know is that YouTuber didn't keep a lot of promises.
Nope. Which I said to him. And he goes, oh, well, I was like the other. Wait, what? So he did this to another company and you're still trying to repeat the process?
And you're trying to drop his name. So again, do you actually know what you're involved in? And again, by the way, I would have needed that learning experience. You would have needed it. And it's not
Young
a judgment on this gentleman at
No.
all. At the end of the day, it's a learning experience. But you have to understand that asking for free, rolling up into someone's business, not acting professionally. And what do I mean by that? You just bashed everybody you've been in business with. So you got a dealership, You got a detail shop. Now you got a YouTuber, all that you've bashed to us, but you want us to trust you're not going to bash us. You want us to trust that you're not. And so I think the funny of this story, and I think some of the things we can take out of the story and why we share these types of things is understand, man, this guy was talking to somebody in you that knew. Whatever it is that word "new" meant, what you were like, red flag, another red flag, another red flag. We haven't even got to a green flag yet. Another red flag, another red flag. And what happens, and I think a lot of the things we try to share on this podcast are really, they're common sense to us, but maybe not common sense in the marketplace. And so a lot of people listen to us and say, well, you're trying to say this and I can't do it. It's like, look, man, I'm not telling you, do whatever you want in your business. I can't make that explicit enough. Do whatever you want. It's your business. You have a right to run it your way. But when you run it your way, certain people are going to choose not to be in business with you. And certain people are going to choose to be in business with you. If you want to get in business with high quality companies and high quality customers, there's really only one avenue to get that. And that's to act and carry yourself a certain way. And that's what we share on the podcast. Is like, I'm telling you guys, there's not 50 ways to do this, because everyone that knows how things work are going to want to see certain things. You bashing old employers, not a good look. And a lot of people don't know that lesson. As soon as you start bashing people in front of me, I'm thinking to myself, well, when this goes south, you're just going to bash us. Why? Because I
And
know.
and I also know that if you're bashing everybody, that means you don't have anybody around you. And
Yep.
I know that stuff goes on in life and you're now by yourself. And this was the end up kicker in the nuts, right? This was the punch in the gut. This was the what? Was when it came time to actually purchase something. And then you just go, oh man. Like, wow. How many years has this been?
Yep.
You don't have anything in the bank? You need to go take some cash and go do something? And that hit home, I guarantee you, for many of our listeners, of a moment where they've overvaluated cash, overvaluated some easy things, and overvaluated all these years of, wow, wasn't doing a single thing to put something in the bank to build something long term. What does it mean to actually build a life? What does it mean to go through and love to clean cars, love to be around something that you enjoy?
Yep.
You and I talk about, this is the part that we always digest, is what is a car guy? What is a car guy inside of the detailing world? Like, what does it mean to just enjoy your car and do work around cleaning cars? How hard is that not to just appreciate? You've made the joke too, like we paid somebody to do videos and just sit on the phone and just sit there, a 19-year-old to just sit there, messing around on social media. How did somebody that's 19 not just love being on social media? How does somebody that's in their mid-20s not just love to clean cars and take care of their life in simplest forms? It's always a shocking thing when it's almost like it slaps you in the face.
Yeah. And so when we talk about venturing into business, there are some minimums to talk about. You need a business bank account. That's a minimum, guys. Even if you're a sole proprietorship, you can go get a DBA and get a business bank account. They'll issue you a debit card, which then means you can apply for a business credit card, which then mean, there's minimums in this thing. And so when everybody says, I hate my boss, I just started going out there detailing myself, I'm all for you, man. I wish you nothing but the best. But if you don't set up a company, and again, a sole proprietorship is not a company, but it's the fastest way to quote unquote get into business. I would tell you, you better form an LLC or an S Corp and talk to somebody that knows which one's best for you. Because I have both. I have S Corps and LLCs. That costs something. Forming a company is probably right around a $2,500 expense to do it properly, somewhere around that. There's people online that can help you with that. But this is why I always talk about when somebody says you can start a detailing business for $500. You can start detailing cars for $500, but you can't start a detailing business for $500. You need to get a
What's the
logo.
difference?
Well, I think this guy shows you what the difference is. This guy's working in all cash, which, just so everybody knows, I have very little cash that comes into my business. Okay. I'm either getting a check from large clients on a 30-day pay, or I'm taking Amex, Visa, MasterCard at the point of sale. It's
And charging your
very,
customers an extra percentage, right? Like, with
yeah, that's a, guys, do not charge somebody 3% to run their credit card. Just put it into your price. At the end of the day, uh, there's just things that you have to do to start a business. You know, if you want to do it legitimately, you got to go get a license. If you want to do it legitimately, you got to have insurance. That's a business. You know, Brian shared on here, he says you don't really become a business till you do a certain dollar amount in revenue, 125,000 more or more in revenue. That's true, but the things I'm saying come even before that in my mind. Knowing what I know now, and I was pretty lucky. I did start my business, at least forming my company and things like that. But it's pretty hard to see how you're going to get in business for under $3,000 to $5,000, depending on the state you live in. I mean, Marty, when we formed the corporation that holds hyperCLEAN as a part of its ownership, I mean, I think that took us a couple weeks, right, to form it properly. At the end of the day, these are things that we know now that signify being in business. And this guy is not available to purchase product, because for everybody that doesn't know, we don't have a retail space. Okay. We're an online retailer. You order things through our website, which takes a card, and then, we ship product to people, and the local people there. There's some customers of ours that order enough locally that we take some product to them occasionally. But most of the time, we set out the product for these guys to come pick up in an area just outside of our warehouse. To be very, clear about what we are, is we're an online retailer. And so to have this guy, say all these things and do all these things, you and I still root for these kind of people, because if he is truly a great detailer, we need more of that, not less. Now, we don't know his quality of work. We know what he tells us, but who knows?
dude, he was the
Let's
best.
Yeah, let's say he's great. We need more of that. We need more people that take pride in their work. I'll never shun that, and I'll never actively root against somebody winning. I want you to win. But you didn't walk into this business to learn more about our company or become a great partner or anything along those lines. You wanted somebody to hand you free product. And the reason that we share these kinds of stories is because you and I can learn from these stories, and we think other people listening to us can learn from the story, right? And it's not ever to pick on somebody. It's to go, hey, man, I'm telling you, whether I started the way you started and the situation you're in now, the road you're headed down is a road of you're not going to succeed in business. And I don't want to see that. I
It's
don't
not
want to see
fun.
that.
Yeah, it's not fun. I can think back through people that I've known over the years that fall out and like in it. Some of them went out in a fire, right? Some of them, it was brutal. You can see some stuff that goes on, and it's not just even that moment. It was the quality of their life in between. It's not like, right? Like, I get it. A lot of us will go, hey, sometimes you have to go through some stuff to get,
Sure.
sure. But if you stay in the stuff and you never progress out, you begin to wonder as you get older and you look around and you see your friends and you see some stuff. I I got a friend of mine that I don't talk to as much anymore. I wish I did. But you know what? He came to work with me for a little bit way back in the day when I was a mobile detailer and enjoyed car care. He enjoyed it, but it wasn't for him to go own a business. So he journeyed through corporate life, and he worked for train companies, and he worked for, Microsoft. I mean, he's gone around and done different things. Well, we had recently, just a second ago, right before we recorded, we had UPS drop off some stuff, and I joked with you as soon as we got on, and I go, man, our UPS guy told me next week he's off 3 days again.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, for some people, that's why it's always interesting. You just look at them, and I can appreciate all the people that are listening that do also have a full-time gig, and they're okay with cleaning some cars. Like, and that actually is a great spot to be in because you just enjoy life more.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's a second avenue about talking about starting a business. What does it take to actually make it?
Yeah.
And this is where Brian's terminology about the 125,000 in revenue at a minimum to stay in business and be a real business and have opportunity. Because if you go to Costco today, you start out at what, like $23 an hour? I mean, in some states you start out higher than that. So there's a $50,000 a year job with no overtime. That's just you working 40 hours. Plus you get insurance. Plus you get retirement, the ability for company match on a 401k. Okay, so what does that mean to me? If you're listening to this and you're getting your start, well, that means that's roughly somewhere around a $75,000 plus job. Okay. Pretty good life. I mean, for starting out, by the way, this isn't even somebody that's put in a year, 2 years, 5 years, and they get raises every year and you get opportunities to grow with the company and all those kinds of things. And so when you're running your own business, it doesn't matter who you are and what business you're in, your bare minimum should be, what could I go get a job paying right now at an entry level position? Well, guess what? Today, you can ring up groceries at Costco for $23 an hour. So that's your baseline. And I know what people are going to say. Well, when I detail a car, I make $50 an hour or $100 an hour. Okay. Are you doing that 40 hours a week minimum? Meaning you're actually earning money those times. You're not driving. You're not missing time. It doesn't rain where you're at, whatever. So now what you got to think about is, through my company that I own, can I put money into a Roth IRA and a 401k every month? Can I pay for my family or my insurance? Can I also take home that 50 plus $1,000 a year on top of doing those other things? So realistically, you need about $75,000 after expenses. Then you got to spend it properly. You got to put it into that IRA. You got to buy your health insurance. You got to, because that's the minimum. I can go get that in the world right now in 10 seconds. Any of us could. Any of us could go get hired at Costco. If you have any type of reputation and your background check comes back clean, you're going to get a job at a place like that. And so a lot of times what people don't think about when they start their business is not like I expect you to be there minute one, but there's a lot of guys 4 and 5 years in, similar to the guy that stopped by our facility, that still don't have any money in a bank account, that still don't have anything coming in of real value, are not able to save for retirement, are not able to give their kids the opportunity. And I don't want to see that. So putting it out there of what the minimum is, because I base the minimum off the real world, not off what I think. This is not my opinion. This is what's readily available to go start scanning groceries at Costco. It's readily available at multiple companies in your area today. Now, you can tell yourself that's not true, but it is true. We know that everybody's looking to employ people in those types of positions. And again, you could say, I don't want to do that. I understand. But that means you got to make stuff happen on that level just to get to the bare minimum of where you could start with another company.
Or just don't really consider yourself a businessman, right? Just be, hey, I just clean some cars.
Yeah,
It's just
dude.
something I just enjoy doing.
And by the way, I know a guy here locally. I've talked about him a lot. He's been doing it 30 plus years, probably close to 40 years now. Made a good living, has sent his kid to college, has largely only taken cash, has lived that life. But he does work his ass off. Like, he does work his ass off. No employees, still grinding, old guy, talks about how worn down he is every time I see him. There's a consequence to that. Doesn't mean it's bad. His life is his life. He's made the choice, but he could have been at UPS with $150,000 pay, getting 4 or 5 weeks off a year. And remember, when you're a one-man operation, you take a day off, you don't get paid. And so that's what I always shared on this podcast, is how I view it. If I take a day off and I don't get paid, I don't have a business. I have a job. The only problem with that theory is, when I have a job, usually I get PTO or paid time off. So it's actually sometimes a little worse than having a job. Okay. It just is. And so to me, this owning a business thing, man, I cheer everybody on. I want everybody to make millions of dollars and be super successful and get everything they want. I don't think people realize how hard it is. And I don't mean that business is the hardest thing you'll do. I don't think that. It's understanding what it means to actually make it successful is very difficult for people to wrap their head around sometimes.
So let's wrap our head around something you said a second ago. And that was, if you're a good detailer, we really need you in the industry. And that is the sad part about guys that want to go about it their own way and they're so gung ho. And this is why I look at this kid and then I see him in other people, whether it's people that I see online or people that I've known personally. And you just see their characteristics, you see what they do, and you just go, yeah, like it would be better for all of us if you went and just cleaned cars because I would know that a car would be cleaned. We've all walked to the parking lots and we all dream of actually seeing cars be clean. So then let's go to you, detailer. Let's go to you, enthusiasts that like to do your own, but need what's this word? Support. Supporting the right, supporting the correct, supporting quality. Okay. This is the other flip of the coin that we might not always think about. If I'm a detail shop owner, if I'm a dealer and I'm really a businessman, then we got to also think about then all these people that are that I hope to have work with me. If I'm a single, but I'm moving into a shop and now I'm going to have people on my payroll this next month, the next 2 months. Hey, I've already got one person, but I've got two that I really need. I'm growing into my business. How do I then make sure that if somebody is a good detailer, that he stays in this and he has a good life? And if I'm somebody that needs my car cleaned, I've got to support the people that are doing it the right way.
Yeah. I think that's a tough thing to say how we fix that problem. It's been a problem since I've been in this business. I mean, we've lost a lot of good people that I know. You've
Dude, but
lost a
you
lot
got
of
a big brain. You got a big
yeah. I mean,
brain.
look,
Come
just because
on.
I
Let's
just
let's,
have
let's lay
that's
it out right now, right here.
yeah. I think it starts
You
with
can't, right?
I think
Yeah.
it starts with pretty blunt conversation that hey man, just because your business doesn't work out doesn't mean leave the industry. I promise there's good livings to be made. Go talk to reputable shops. Don't leave the industry. Don't go down in a blaze of glory with your business. There's no reason to do that. There's no reason to sit on the sideline with no work. There's no reason. There just isn't. I'm telling you, people are hiring every day all across the country. I could hire 3 people for my shop today, but I got to find people that want to actually be a part of the team and want to actually do the things and want to actually understand what the pay should be and how we all work together. That's hard to find. If it was less hard to find, then I think people from the customer all the way to the professional would be in a better spot. And I don't know that we're ever going to get there because I think entrepreneurship has been glorified as this thing that it's like a destined right. We all should own a company. We all should have a side hustle. We all should do this. We all should do that. I look at my buddies, and I got 2 buddies that work at places like UPS. I got buddies that are in the corporate world selling medical devices. They got pretty sweet lives. They got pretty sweet lives, man. And they're not talking about side hustle and this hustle and that. They're just doing a great job at their business and they work for somebody. We've demonized working for somebody in this business. And I think it's irreparable at this point because putting it out there that you can start a detailing business for $500 is not true. Just fiscally not true. It's not my opinion. You can't form a company properly and make sure everything is in line for $500. Now you can go do those filings on your own. The likelihood you're going to get all those bullet points right is pretty slim. Like you can go get a federal tax ID number for free. I get it. But you got to form your company properly. You got to do this properly. In some states, you got to get a sales tax, license. You got to do this and you got to do that. You got to do this. And so I just rather say, hey guys, go to somebody reputable that can make sure this is all done right one time because you'll do it one time. And that isn't going to cost you $500. Now, did anybody tell me that in 2010? No. I had somebody form a company for me. I ended up not being formed properly. I had to redo it. But if I had somebody like this podcast or other podcasts telling me how to start a business, it would have been incredibly helpful for me. I'm speaking for myself. How to do things properly, how to actually set yourself up so this thing doesn't become a nightmare right out of the gate. And I always kind of liken it to being behind the eight ball, man. The longer you're behind the eight ball, the less likely it is you're going to be successful. So if you can check all these boxes and get yourself out from behind the eight ball on these certain things at the beginning, the more likely it is that you're going to succeed. But I think, Marty, the thing you're trying to get at is fixing this. It's not going to fix it until everybody's honest about business, and that not all of us are cut out to own a business. And I didn't know if I was cut out to own the business. Right. And I still every day wonder, do I got what it takes to go another 5 years? But I also, when I was struggling, was willing to evolve and say, this isn't right. I got to fix it. I can't keep doing it this way. I got to find a better way. I had to put my ego aside, and I didn't always do the best job of that, but I had to put my ego aside and say, dude, some of this stuff you don't have right.
No, and so let's go this as we kind of close this out is, we got a lot of people that listen that are the car show guy. They are the enthusiast that likes to take care of my car, or I just like cars, right? Like, hey, I like my Porsche. Hey, I like my Jeep. There we go. I love those guys, right? Like I love my whatever. And I do know that I need some extra help sometimes on my car, whether it's, hey, I need this thing that everybody's been talking about, this coding, and as over the years, there's all these people that start to question, well, do I do this? Do I use this? Like there becomes that clear as mud in a sense as we talk about this, where somebody listening might go, oh, there's a lot of problems with these people that have these shops or have these mobile units or have the, okay, well then is there something I should know? Like, how do I make sure that they are right? Is it the certification that they have, or is it the patch on the shirt? Is like
Yeah, I mean, people won't love when I say this, but if I saw a bunch of patches on somebody's shirt, I couldn't run fast enough. They're not working on my car. But you got to be able to pick out competency. And that's just a life lesson for anybody you hire: plumber, detailer, mechanic, whatever. Is the business, does it appear reputable to you? When you talk to somebody today, put your mind at ease. Do you have more questions than answers when you walk away? Then walk away, right? Because people that are good at what they do and are reputable at what they do will sit down with you for a half an hour and make you feel really comfortable about the service they're going to provide. I told you I had a steering issue on my old truck. I take it in. Guy goes, hey, man, just a bolt came loose. We got you, but we got these other things. Do you want to handle this now, or do you want to bring it back later? I'm like, hey, man, it's already there. Go ahead and get these things handled. Didn't force me, educated me, sent me something by text and email so I could look it over with him. And he walked me through, hey, this is what we found. This is what we found. I realized you brought it in for the steering issue. You don't have to do these things. I would recommend. I'm just at ease. It's like, hey, man, you're right. I don't want to drop this car off and have to Uber back and forth or have my guys bring me again or whatever. Just get everything handled. We're all good. Now, did I want to spend $700, $800, $900 today on my truck? No. But because I chose a reputable business that I've developed a relationship with, that I feel comfortable with, I know he's not trying to get over on me, and he comes across that way. Here's what I would do. They're going to have to be handled at some point. Do you want to handle them now, or do you want to bring it back to me later? He wasn't trying to earn a buck off me today. He was just informing me of the check engine light or this or, whatever. And so I think if somebody can't make you feel comfortable with their answers, that would be the number one reason that I wouldn't do business with them, because I should really walk away feeling like, hey, whether this guy hacks my car up or not, okay, largely people that hack up cars aren't going to make me feel comfortable. Okay. I'm always going to be like, oh, this didn't kind of add up. Oh, that price is kind of low. Like if you get an insanely low price to do something that you know is going to take 8 hours, you kind of get what you deserve if you go with that person. Right. And for the car guys listening, man, you guys have to understand the cost of everything has gone up, and you guys know that. So you got to be respectful of that. Like An oil change on my truck takes a lot of oil. Have you gotten that price lately? That's
Not
no
fun.
longer, $19.99 like it was once upon a
No.
time. Okay, to change
Ugh.
some filters. Now I'm not going to get bent about that. Hey, things go up. I trust this guy. He's going to handle it. And so I think you and I have this conversation a lot back and forth. Is this happens in every aspect of your life. I need people that make me feel comfortable that they got it under control. And if you can't identify that, then don't do the service.
Oh, and that's a big reason why we have, and which we love, the people that are professional. They're have a business and they detail, and then they also want to assist. They also want to be a specialist in their local area, and they want to educate people that have questions about their car, and they love to have products there at their shop so
Yeah.
that when they want to have education, then they can reference, hey, and here's a product from hyperCLEAN that will help you out. This is a big part of why we say that detailers should become a distributor,
Yeah.
should have products there, should begin to grow this giant base of information, should put out knowledge, should then educate customers and become a local specialist, because this is how that kid will find the right place. This is how that enthusiast or the person that needs extra help or just somebody that needs to like, this is how it kind of all comes together with the right guy doing the right thing, taking care of people at a shop, having hyperCLEAN products to sell to people that need it. And that guy continues to grow year after year, month after month. Wow. Then
Yeah.
this kid, right? See him in the future if he would follow that pattern, that thing that you and I talk about nonstop. If he would follow through with that, what his life would be like in 2 years, 5 years,
Yeah.
when he's our age, like,
Yeah.
geez.
Yeah. And look, it's a lot simpler than the world makes it out to be, but you also have to do it consistently. That's the tough part. The science of all of this is actually doing it, right? Like you have to do it day after day, year after year. You just got to keep putting one foot in front of the other, doing the simple stuff as well as you can. It all does work out. I don't know any business owner in this world that we've been in for so long that kept it simple, did it right, treated his customers right, that isn't still in business today. I just don't know any of them. I don't. I know a lot of people that made things difficult on themselves or misspent their money or didn't set their business up right or didn't actually help their customers or took money they shouldn't have. I know those people are out of business, but the people that kept it simple and did what you just said and just kept doing right by people, their network just gets bigger and bigger and their shop's bigger. And all of a sudden they got 5 cars, then they got 10, then they got 20. Now they're talking about more space and eh, the science is the compliance to the simple, right? Like you just got to do the simple stuff. And I wish this kid nothing but the best. I really do. As of yesterday, he's standing behind the 8 ball. Are you going to move out from behind the 8 ball and do some things to take you? And that's why we share the story, because I'm telling you, standing behind that 8 ball, man, there is no fixing it. There is
No,
no
no,
fixing it. Period.
no. Well, I hope a lot of people I know they got value out of this, and hey, come over to the hyperClean Specialist Group. Let's continue the education. Let's continue to grow. Let's continue to all push so that car life and our car care business or hobby or however we want to define it, our people that we take care of, we can all continue to enjoy our car life even more, right?
Yeah.
Like that is maybe one day Nick will walk out when he's going to Target and he'll see cars all clean down the aisle. I don't know.
All
Not
right,
sure.
brother. We'll see you next week.